Yeah, it's time to do this. Peace to everyone, and Mado for watching. So, my last video, I mentioned, I believe I mentioned towards the end that I was going to do another video regarding all of the stuff regarding Trump taking away citizenship from Native Americans. Oh, I also mistakenly deleted that video and had to re-upload it. So, anyway, sorry about that to my previous viewers. Basically, so the whole ending birthright citizenship is a big deal right now with President Trump. And look, you have people that have been gaming the system for a long time, mainly Latin Americans who've been gaming the system. And it's unfortunate that this is the case. And you have good people here from Latin America who I don't want to see leave. You got people who are here illegally that I don't want to see leave, okay? But at the same time, enough's enough. We can't have Venezuelan gangs just coming in droves. We can't just be like welcoming all the masses at our taxpayer money. And holy crap, dude, Native Americans for Trump. That guy has been showing some interesting videos. Basically, Mexicans in Mexico don't want Mexican Americans back. Oh, I'm sorry, not Mexican Americans, illegal immigrants from Mexico to the United States. They don't want them back. Mexico's willing to pay for them to have free housing and get them jobs. And that's at the Mexican taxpayer expense, and they don't like it. Okay? Holy crap. Okay? Meanwhile, you've got people, Native activists, liberal Native activists, I should say, that are going off saying, Trump ending birthright citizenship for the children of illegal immigrants. That's going to take away the rights of Native Americans from having U.S. citizenship. BS. I'm going to explain to you how the history here of Native American citizenship in the United States. So, first off, you have the 13th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution, which ended slavery. It did not grant citizenship to African Americans who were former slaves. That's what the 14th Amendment did. It granted citizenship to those all persons born or naturalized, are citizens of the United States. And subject to the jurisdiction thereof. So, you're not just born in this country, you are subject to the jurisdiction thereof. You are a subject of the United States. Think about that for a sec, okay? That's in Section 1. In Section 2 of the 14th Amendment, it says representatives will be apportioned among the states, covering the whole number of persons, basically. I'm kind of slightly paraphrasing that. Excluding Indians not taxed. Because keep in mind, this is in 1868. Native Americans were still citizens of their own tribes. They were their own nations. In fact, in 1866, you have the Civil Rights Act of 1866, where it says all persons born in the United States and not subject to a foreign power, hint, hint, excluding Indians not taxed, are hereby declared citizens. Okay, so Indians not taxed. They're not taxed because they're not citizens. That's why they're not just automatically, given citizenship in the United States. That's 1866, and again, 14th Amendment, 1868. There's a case of Elk versus Wilkins, 1884. Indians, basically it's declared that Indians, he was trying to get, be able to vote, be a citizen of the United States. He basically renounced his citizenship in his tribe, and I think it was Omaha tribe, but he's in Nebraska. All that was all going on. Anyway, because he hadn't paid taxes, because he wasn't born a citizen, he wasn't born, he was born on the Indian reservation into the tribe that are his natural, people, you know what I mean? So like he wasn't, those were his people, those were his family, and that's where he was born. He was born literally on the reservation of the tribe. So he wasn't born in U.S. territory. He wasn't born in the United States off of an Indian reservation. He was born in the reservation, and he was born, of course, to parents that were Indians, that were citizens of an Indian tribe. He was not born as a U.S. citizen. He was born in what is you know, basically it declared that Indians owed allegiance to their own tribes. They were not taxed. They were not foreign states, but they were alien nations living within U.S. territory. So they were their own nations. We were our own nations, okay? So therefore, you were not given automatic U.S. citizenship because you're born here, and even being a Native American, you were not automatically given United States citizenship. However, let's flash forward to the Snyder Act of 1924. So, yeah, basically 101 years ago, okay? All citizen Indians, all non-citizen Indians, sorry, my handwriting sucks. All non-citizen Indians born within the territorial United States were then declared citizens, provided that the citizenship didn't impair them in regards to tribal or other properties. So, in other words, if you don't lose property from becoming a U.S. citizen, you are automatically a U.S. citizen if you're a Native American Indian born within the territorial United States. So, yeah, so basically, if you're born but not subject to the United States, you were not a citizen. But the Snyder Act came along and declared that, yeah, you're a subject. You're not just, we're no longer part of simply part of an alien nation within the U.S. borders. We are now made actual U.S. citizens. By the way, the Snyder Act was the most Republicans voted for, and the Democrats mostly opposed it. And now you have liberals today saying, oh, well, Trump's, executive order is going to take away birthright citizenship for Native Americans. No, it's taking it away from illegal immigrants' children. That's what it does. That's actually the purpose behind his executive order. It's not to take away the rights of Indian tribes. Besides, do you see how much he was like, the Lumbee Indians, yes, let's try to get them, certified, which I think is a mistake. Okay, I agree with many others in the Native community that that's a mistake. Their history is way too controversial. It's not as clear cut. They don't have a very strong line of a lineage of authority, basically tracing back to before the white man showed up. Muskogee Nation, Cherokee Nation, the different Iroquois tribes are all able to basically make that kind of claim, but the Lumbee cannot. There's been name changes. There's been debates. There's been about their actual origins. I mean, the Lumbee should not be made into a tribe, into an actual federal recognized tribe. But he supported Trump, apparently, it sounds like, and he's supporting them. So that's what's going on. I mean, I don't think it's, unless I'm wrong in the last couple days, but I don't think they're automatically federalized yet. I think it's still going to be a process, but he's trying to make it happen. So I mentioned Eli Grayson in my last video, and he did quote the Salon.com article that was, mentioning a lot of these things I mentioned, except it didn't really get into the Snyder Act. It's kind of funny how it doesn't mention the Snyder Act. It leaves that out. It seems like there's a real push. It seems like, and this is the liberal wing of the Native community, which is really trying to push that Hispanic Latin Americans are basically Indians too, and therefore we should just not have any borders. Meanwhile, if you don't have borders, you don't have the United States. If you have no United States, you don't really have strong Indian tribes either. And that's what they don't see. They're not seeing the forest past the trees, I don't think, on this issue. So they're really pushing this narrative, a false narrative, to get their other political agenda moving forward. That's what I see going on. So, hey, if I'm wrong, reach out to me. Let me know. But that's exactly what this sounds like. Okay. Also, Salon.com. They used to have articles on virtuous pedophiles, maps, minor attracted persons, trying to destigmatize being a pedophile. That is the source that Eli Grayson was using. Those guys. I remember them years ago defending pedophiles. I'm not saying Eli's defending them. I'm just saying that his source of information, at least one of his resources of information, because Salon's not a source per se. Fox is not a source. CNN's not a source. They're resources. The sources are the actual sources they use to get you the information. So yeah, Salon had some sources. It seems to have left out some information. Didn't use all the sources that were available. Okay. But yeah, they're a resource defending pedophiles and, trying to recategorize them as minor attracted persons. Because there's some virtuous ones that don't mean they don't mean to hurt anybody. They don't mean to do anything bad. So we got to destigmatize that, right? Yeah. No thanks. I've got a kid. You touch my kid, you die. Okay. So, yeah, I'm not going to give credibility to salon.com. Sorry. Not doing it. And neither should you. Look it up, man. Look up salon.com pedophile. Go ahead and Google that stuff. You're going to find exactly what I'm talking about. Okay? It won't take very long. But yeah. So why would Donald Trump want to federalize what he perceives as an Indian tribe if he wants to take away citizenship from Indians? I don't think he has any intention of doing that. And yet you've got a bunch of these activists saying this, and you got activists saying, oh, well, there's been several Navajo that are detained by ICE, but they won't give the names of individuals. Or they'll say, oh, we couldn't find any individuals. Well, then what are you talking about? You couldn't find anybody. Well, then what are you talking about? You're lying, basically, in that case. Show us some proof that some of the Dene people are being detained by ICE because they look like they could be, Mexican? I don't think Navajo people look Mexican. Okay, I've known a few Navajo people that are like full bloods, or at least half bloods, and the other half is still native. And I'm telling you, they don't look like Mexicans to me. And I grew up around Mexicans. I grew up in Watsonville, California. And yes, Mexicans can look different from each other, of course. But the Navajo, they don't look Mexican. They just don't. I'm sorry. So, it's all sensationalism, man. It's all sensationalism. So yeah, and unfortunately, I'm sorry. It seems to me, please correct me if I'm wrong, seems that Eli is part of this misinformation campaign, along with others who are activists in the Native community who are of a more liberal mindset, who are like, and here's the thing, guys. These individuals, not just Eli, but others too, they're obviously pissed off that more than half the Native community supported Donald Trump. And like, you see, you fellow Creeks, you gotta see what's going on here. Obviously, this is who you voted for. It's like, yeah, well, maybe we voted against the transitioning of children. Genital surgical mutilation. Bad economy under Joe Biden. Extended war in the Ukraine. A lot of other things that are actually really bad for this country and for the Native tribes that live here. Maybe you guys all got to think about that before you start saying, oh, you evil, stupid, conservative Trump natives. Or whatever. I'm exaggerating what you're actually saying about us, kind of. I'm not exaggerating the sentiment. I'm just kind of exaggerating the words in this situation, but regardless, I think you get the point. Stop lying to us. Honestly, I saw that information. A friend of mine, like I said, I'm not going to say who it is. I actually have several mutual friends with Eli Grayson. And that Facebook post I saw, I knew in my mind that because it's salon.com, I shouldn't trust it. But I still had to do some research. I still was concerned because I'm like, okay, if there's any truth to this, I'm a citizen of Muskogee Nation. My son is a citizen of Muskogee Nation. And I wouldn't want anything, to happen, especially as I supported Donald Trump. I don't want to be a fool, right? I'm not. And those of us who voted for him, who are natives, who want a better America and a better Native America, we're not fools. We did the right thing. And those who are feeding us in this misinformation, you're not fools either. You're culprits. Stop doing it. Okay? Show us the entire information. Talk about the Snyder Act of 1924 that the Republicans passed that made Native Americans into U.S. citizens. Talk about that. That's a more recent piece of legislature that actually, that kind of writes out some of the other stuff that happened beforehand. Like the whole Elk versus Wilkins, that's erased essentially by the Snyder Act of 1924. Like 40 years later, 100 years ago now. So, I mean, there's a reason why. Think about this, okay? Yeah, so I forgot to write down the year of the 13th Amendment. But anyways, if I'm not mistaken, it was, I'll have to double check this. I think it was before the, Civil Rights Act of 1866. Anyways, don't quote me on that. This is the one thing I should have actually researched. I thought that happened during the Civil War, but I believe it did. Yeah, I'll double check that. But yeah, Indian tribes still had slaves until 1866. The treaties of 1866 basically ended slavery among Indian tribes. Slaves were already freed in the United States. So, that's, so yeah, that's because Indian tribes were separate nations. We weren't actually U.S. citizens. There's so much that happened between 1866 and 1924. And if we ignore everything that happened after Elk versus Wilkins, then yeah, you could just say, oh, we should be afraid. We should be terrified that we're going to lose our U.S. citizenship. We're not. We're not going to. I'm sorry. Snyder Act, 1924, Republicans passed it. Look it up. I looked it up just specifically for this video because I want you guys to know that you've been had. You've been had. And, well, those of you who fully bought into this misinformation or partial information, because you see, again, they're properly quoting the 14th Amendment and they're properly quoting the Civil Rights Act of 1866 and they're properly quoting or summarizing Elk versus Wilkins. They're just not talking about the Snyder Act. Talk about the Snyder Act. Anyway, all this had to be said. I hope you all learned something from this. Do some research. I'm going to just verify the date of the 13th Amendment. I thought it was 1861. Maybe it's not. We'll find out. I'll find out. I used to know this. I haven't looked at it in a while. Yeah, do your research, guys. Get the facts in front of you. I have the facts in front of me right now. It's got chicken scratch handwriting, but I do this specifically so that I can get you guys good information when I feel most prompted to. So go for it. Look it up. Prove me wrong. Okay? I'll talk to you guys next time. Until then, Chichat, please.